Damn it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what I got for you today is I have the PERRIN oil cooler, and I'm going to install it on the car today. I'm going to take you guys along with me. So let's go ahead and do this. So one thing about these fittings right here, these are AN fittings. Highly recommend you use AN wrenches so you don't gouge them and mess it up. Well, I live in a small town out in the middle of nowhere, and nobody has any AN wrenches in town. So I'm just going to have to improvise. And when I do this install, I'm going to assume that you already know how to take off your front bumper, because that's going to have to come off. Also, my front mount intercooler is going to have to come off in order for me to properly mount the oil cooler. But yeah, it seems simple, straightforward, and hopefully I don't mess this up. So now we have room to install the oil cooler. Now one thing I should do is I should actually start looking at the instructions now, because I haven't yet. So first thing it has us doing is to remove the oil filter and the oil feed pipe, which is a 24mm deep socket. I doubt I'll be able to remove this by hand. See if that gym time has paid off. Now this is a brand new oil filter. Has about 500 miles on it. Can I reuse that? I don't want to fucking throw it away, man. So what you have here is the factory oil cooling system. So the oil cooler down here is cooled by coolant from the factory. So what we're doing, we're gonna tie those OEM coolant lines together and reroute the oil cooling to the PERRIN unit instead of the factory oil cooler, which is cooled by coolant. All right, so it has us removing the OEM oil cooler or coolant line. It says that to remove it from the actual engine and not from the cooler, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. This one's a little tricky to get to, but you know, yeah, all I did was take my needle nose and twisted it around, and there you go. Put this up. I don't think I'm gonna get any coolant spillage. I shouldn't, but I'm gonna clamp it off just in case. And then next it has us removing this coolant hose from the actual oil cooler itself. So I just grabbed my needle nose. That should be good enough. So I just grabbed my needle nose, my angled one, and all I'm doing is pushing the hose down off of the factory oil cooler. A little bit of coolant came out, no big deal. Ooh, that popped off. So there you go, coolant hoses are disconnected, and then we should be able to take off the factory oil cooler. Wow, that's on there pretty tight. And there you go, that's the factory oil cooler. Alright, so this is the adapter that comes into your kit. Also, this whole hose comes in the kit also. I reused the factory clamps from the old factory oil cooler. Put it on there, and then I'm gonna plug it into right here, and this side will go back into the engine. So this hose might be a little too long, so if you need to trim it, do so as needed. One thing I highly recommend is to zip tie this coolant hose somewhere, as if you don't want this rubbing against the belt. That might be a bad day. So on the provided hose, they give you way more than you need. I'm gonna show you exactly where I zip tied my hose to keep it away from the actual drive belts. And I've marked it to where I have the pinch clamp to where I want to cut it, and I'm just gonna cut it. I should use a sharper knife, but I don't know where my knife went. Someone, probably one of my kids, used it and didn't put it back. About an inch into that metal pipe, so that should be good enough. Shouldn't go anywhere. So now the instructions say to use the male to male adapter, which is included to your kit. It's pretty cool that this is an OEM part. So, and tighten this to 25 foot-pounds. So next it says to take the spacer, and you're gonna put the rubber seal down towards the engine block. There you go. Oh, and by the way, I already cleaned up the surface area where this rubber seal will sit on. So it was actually pretty dirty and nasty. And next, we're gonna take the thermostat housing. Once again, rubber seal facing down. And this is the oil feed pipe. So that's gonna go through your thermostat housing, through your spacer, I think. Yep. And you're just gonna snug this down by hand first. So my concern right now is with the oil cooler and this front mount intercooler. I don't know if there's gonna be any interference with the lines. But we will find out. So next it has us working on the actual oil cooler itself. And we're gonna install the brackets. I just don't know which side is which. Picture has this side here. This side here. All right, next is to simply install the hardware. So you have a bunch of little screws right here and some washers. There it is, just loosely installed, and it says to tighten these bolts down and pushing the hardware or the brackets towards the center. Then it says to cut 2 strips of this adhesive tape. I think this is the adhesive tape. Yes, it is. And to put it along this side right here. Okay, so now it's time to install the oil cooler. So I have this little hole up here, which you probably can't see, but there's a hole up there. And I was having a little bit of trouble, which I'm going to show you in just a minute. And sticky tape is a little weird, but okay. So I cleaned off the surface area with alcohol because there is sticky tape down there that you're going to have to use. That's provided. All right, so there is the mounting hole right here, and down here is just sticky tape. And I'm going to just take the provided hardware and thread it through that hole. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna create tension. I'm gonna stick a little screwdriver in there just to give it more force, and I'm gonna tighten it down. Not going anywhere. Definitely on there pretty dang tight. So next, the instructions to say to replace this bolt with one of the last M6 bolts you should have laying around and washer. So I did that. I assume that's only to prevent any things rubbing against this bolt, which sticks out of the hole just by a few millimeters. Okay, try to thread that in. All right, so I got the oil cooler lines already connected and tightened to the oil cooler. Got the front mount intercooler already back on, and I routed the lines all the way up to the engine bay, but I might have an issue, and mainly due to the front mount intercooler, as it gets in the way of mounting the actual line. So I have to figure out a way to route these lines so they can connect right there. Shouldn't be too hard, but I think I can get this. So I got the lines all connected right now, and one thing that the instructions didn't say is which one goes where. So the way I have it routed right now, I'm just trying to use logic here. This is the top one, and this is the bottom one, I think. I'm not sure. So the front mount intercooler piping does get in the way of the lines, and I think I have this one routed this way and one routed through the front, and they both meet and get connected right here all the way down to the oil cooler itself. I'm gonna call PERRIN to see if this is the correct orientation of the hoses. If so, then cool. All I have left is to connect the intercooler piping or couplers and the oil filter, and I should be done. Well, I gotta put the bumper back on too. So one thing I forgot to mention is you might have to take this trim panel, take the pop clips out of there and lift it up so you can access the hole to where your oil cooler mounts up here. So I was confused, like I couldn't see the holes, but then I just realized I just took these out and saw the hole on where I'm supposed to mount the actual oil cooler. So one thing I have not done is tighten this down yet. So I have a 27 mil, but for some reason it's not catching. You're gonna need a really thin wall socket to get in there. I'm gonna try a 1 1/16, I think is the size, to get in there. Otherwise I'm not able to get enough, you know, grab in there to tighten this down because it's really, really thin, as you can see right there. So I took a break, edited some videos, and ate some dinner, and so far this is my solution so far. I wouldn't say it's final, but yeah, this intercooler piping just gets in the way, so I had to route it upwards and then down into the oil cooler. So yeah, until I find another way to do it, maybe find an extension to put it out this way a little bit. I don't know, it's just everything's a little bit tight with the front mount intercooler. I don't think these two components were designed to work with each other, but I know there is a way, and I just haven't figured it out yet. Instructions say, before start running the engine, turn the key to the on position and apply 100% throttle to your car. Then try to start the car with the throttle still at 100% or floored. Okay. So gas pedal is pegged. Radar detector is going off. Start with the throttle 100% or floored. Your engine will not start, but turn over only. Do this for roughly 5 seconds and wait 10 seconds. All right, gas pedal is pegged. Car is in the on position. Trying to start it and it won't. All right. And it says start your car like normal and let it run for 5 seconds. Then shut the engine off. Shut up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Heavily inspect all oil lines and connections for leaks. If there are no leaks, add your additional quart of oil at this time. Oops, I kind of already added that quart of oil. My bad. So I did not see any oil leaks. The only thing I saw was some of the small amount of coolant that I spilled earlier, but that's about it. So start whatever, 33. Start your engine, let it run for at least 5 minutes, and check one more time for oil leaks. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Looks like I dropped some coolant on the J-pipe and the O2 sensor. Probably see some of that smoke coming up. Oh, come on, don't die now. An E85.